Hey guys, as I mentioned on Twitter yesterday, I was planning to do a bit of a preview here for the ESL ANZ Championship finals, and that's what this is going to be. I've already done one take, but it only went for 20 minutes, so I didn't think that was going to be long enough, so I'm going to try and do this one a little bit longer, and I also have worked out the structure a little bit better, so hopefully it goes a little bit smoother than the last one, but regardless, we'll get through it. Just to start off, I think I should mention that if you want to jump to any sort of, a specific point, a specific matchup, maybe you want to learn about a team, I'll put descriptions in the box below and you can just jump to the specific time. The event itself, as you're probably mostly all aware, is the ESL ANZ Championship finals. They're going to be at the ESL studios in Sydney, and there's going to be a live audience. If you haven't already signed up for that, it's probably too late, unfortunately, because the invites went out this afternoon. But if you are coming in the audience, definitely say hello. I'll have a chat with you. It'll be great fun. If you're not, just tune into the stream. It'll still be a very good viewing experience. If you are after any more of the details, I guess, in regards to like prize pool, dates and times, all that sort of stuff, I'll put a link to the ESL website in the description box, and you can find all that out for yourself because it's probably a little bit too boring to put in a video like this. Just quickly as well, the talent lineup, as you probably are also all aware, but I'm just going to run through it. It's going to be myself, PDG and Mike Star will be the casters for the weekend on rotation, and then we've got our dedicated analysts as well. Jim and Esso and Sniper will be on the analyst desk at all times. They'll also be joined by Mike Star and PDG when those two aren't casting. I'm going to be only doing casting, and obviously Sandman will be our host for the event as usual. And I guess since I'm not on the analyst desk, this is kind of why I wanted to make a video like this, because I did put a lot of effort into putting these notes together. So, you know, I'm not going to have enough time really probably when I'm casting, unless we're going to have to fill for 30 minutes to break down all of this stuff that I've brought up. So I just wanted to get my thoughts out there, and hopefully I guess you guys are going to get some enjoyment out of it, or at least learn something, or, you know, maybe have fun abusing me or something like that for being wrong. But regardless, we'll just jump into it. Exile 5 are the team that I'm going to start off with. They are the team that qualified through Group A. This is obviously the likes of Ferg, Pex, Seth, Mizu, and Zorbot, if you didn't know who they were. And as I mentioned, they qualified through Group A. The interesting point, though, is that they did use APOC instead of Ferg because he was, I believe, overseas, so he wasn't able to play. So they did have some pretty good results in their qualification. They beat out Legacy, if I'm not mistaken, in a 2-0, and Greeny Bankers in a 2-1. I think they had a little bit of a slow start, but once Pex really got rolling, they were able to just absolutely dominate that group. I guess in the grand scheme of things at this event, I believe that they're going to be the weakest team. And I have actually spoken to a few people around the ESL office today and yesterday. Some of the guys that we had in for a meeting, some CS people and some not CS people, and a few people disagree with me actually. I think some of them don't think that XL5 is going to be the weakest team here. Some of them actually think they're going to be able to bring it to this event. So I guess we might see some dissenting opinions on the analysis desk tomorrow or on Sunday, but I think that's the beauty of it, isn't it? We want to have this discussion. So in my opinion, probably the weakest team heading into this one. If they are to be able to do anything at this event, I think it's going to be have to be off the back of Pex and Seth. They've been the two people that have been really fragging hard for XL5 of late. They did have assistance from APOC, but obviously now Ferg coming back into the lineup is probably not going to bring as much fragging power as APOC. So those two guys are going to definitely have to step up. Pex has been in phenomenal form of late. I don't think that there's going to be really any question marks around his performance, at least hopefully not for XL5. Seth is the main one that he's been going up and down. Like, he's had some fantastic performances, and he's had some okay performances, and then he's had some sort of like, you know, just like getting carried basically performances. But I think he's definitely going to have to step up because there's a couple of other really strong AWPers coming out to this event. Raz, obviously, one of them, Infrequent, the other, that we'll probably be talking about a little bit more. So Seth is going to be a pretty crucial key in this XL5 lineup. And I think, you know, they do have the fragging power to bring it to a couple of these teams, but they're certainly going to need to be playing their best. I don't think they can cruise through this one. They're definitely the dark horse, in my opinion. Maybe not even the dark horse. I think underdog is probably a better word. I don't think they're the dark horse because I guess that gives a bit of a different connotation to the word. Anyway, you know, I think they're the weakest team here. They're going to need those 2 players to definitely step up. The other interesting thing for me is that their veto and their map picks don't really match up very well against Parallax, Athletico, and Chiefs. Mainly because of Train. They have just been completely getting rid of Train whenever possible. And every other team here is actually quite happy to play Train and even quite happy to pick it as well. So I think that's kind of a must ban there for XL5. So they kind of essentially lose a little bit of their veto strategy there by having to get rid of Train straight away, because that map's almost a throwaway for them if they let it get into the hands of one of these other teams. So that's an issue there for XL5, but I guess that's a little bit of my just my thoughts on XL5 there. I'll talk a little bit more about their vetoes further on in the video. So heading on to Parallax, you should know who these guys are. They are the ex-Trident lineup. Have just moved to a new org. Parallax, it's Lonsdale, Raz, Yellow, Hats, and Jokes for those unaware, and they qualified through the Group B. And interestingly enough, I actually kind of underrated these guys, and I think I probably have been underrating this team for, well, since ACL Melbourne probably, at least the core lineup, you know, like Lonsdale and Yellow, and whatever iteration of Trident or / Parallax they have been in at that time. I've always undersold them, and I've always said, oh, you know, they're not quite going to get there. But I said the same thing about them against ASDF. I didn't think that they would be able to get through ASDF, but in the end, they 3-0'd them in a best of 3. They had to play an extra map because of some rulings, but they absolutely smashed ASDF. Raz was looking in great form at that one. And I think in general, as a team, their form has been pretty good heading into this one. They've had some decent wins in CG. They've looked good in the invitational stage of the ANZ Championships. And, you know, they're coming into this one in good form is kind of what I'm getting at. For me, the players to watch are probably going to be, well, definitely going to be Raz. He's been their star player for the moment. He's doing great work with the AWP. He's the kind of player that usually steps up on LAN as well, so I think he's going to be a linchpin in this lineup. The other one to watch for me is Hats. I think of late he's been okay, but for a player like Hats, you can't really settle for okay, and especially if they want to take out this event with a victory, he's definitely going to need to step up. He's had some pretty good performances, but he's also had some just average ones as well. So I guess he's kind of like Seth in that aspect, where he's been a little bit inconsistent, and he definitely needs to be on his game at this event. So definitely going to be watching out and seeing how Hats goes in this event. Moving on to Athletico, these guys, in my opinion, are the team to beat. They have just been pretty much unstoppable over the last month. For those unaware, the lineup obviously is going to be Sonic, Chutch, Infrequent, Liaz, and obviously, well, maybe not obviously, they've had to go with Kyoto here in this lineup. We know they've been using Wizard quite a bit in CG and all that sort of thing, but because of the roster locks in place for the ESL Invitational or in the ANZ Championship, they're going to have to go with Kyoto. I mean, it shouldn't probably impact them too much because, you know, they played with this lineup for such a long time anyway. But regardless, they qualified through Group C. They didn't have any troubles taking out their opponent in that one. And in my opinion, they're the team to beat at this event. They're probably looking like the team that will take this one out without too much issue. They're in fantastic form as a unit. I think Liaz is probably the most informed player heading into this tournament. I would hesitate to say the best player because I think that, you know, that kind of brings another sort of aspect of a discussion to come into it. But he's definitely in great form. You know, it wouldn't be surprising to see him come out as the MVP from this tournament. So Liaz is definitely a player to watch on this lineup. I guess it's really hard to undersell him at the moment. I think he's been doing massive amounts of work for Athletico. And hopefully we'll get to see some flashy stuff from him on the weekend because that'd be amazing. And the other player to watch, obviously, in this lineup, I don't think you can go talking about Athletico without mentioning Infrequent. He's their star AWPer. He's just been very consistent for them, and he's going to be a really tough opponent for the likes of Raz and Seth, who are the other AWPers that we probably talk about the most of these teams. In terms of ranking the AWPers, I think it's not quite as clear-cut. Probably might put Raz above Infrequent at the moment on LAN, but we'll have to wait and see how it goes. It should be an interesting battle regardless, but those are the players to watch. Infrequent, Liaz, and in general Athletico, just be on the watch out for them. I guess the main real question mark about this lineup is that they haven't got the big LAN experience that a few of these other players have got, and that might end up hurting them in the end. So I guess that the initial LAN jitters are something that's going to have to be overcome for Atletico. But certainly, if they keep their form from online heading into the LAN, they're going to be really a strong team and definitely going to be difficult to beat. Final team for the 4-team LAN obviously is the Chiefs, and heading into this, you would have thought that they were the team to beat. And you might be, maybe if you haven't been following the scene quite as closely, you're probably thinking, what the hell is Selfish Guy talking about? But they've just recently lost Dexter, and things have pretty much been going downhill for them for the last month or so. They actually qualified quite easily through Group D. They 2-0 Nuovo and they 2-0 1028, which were their two opponents. But ever since then, things have not looked quite as good as they could have probably for the Chiefs. So as I mentioned, they've lost Dexter, so that's their in-game leader, their AWPer as well, or at least their half of their AWP. Sometimes they put it on Chriso, sometimes they put it on Destiny, who knows what. But he's certainly been taking a bit of the AWP role, so regardless, he's a big piece in that puzzle for the Chiefs, and they've lost him. He's moved over to who knows where. I'm not going to speculate on video because that's something that I guess will come out later in the piece. We'll find that out eventually, but that's not really the point of this. Dexter's gone. They've got Mungo, who used to play for the Chiefs, but hasn't played much CS lately. And also, interestingly enough, they've been deciding to use Moe in their CG matches, even though they've known they've been having to take Mungo to this LAN because of the roster locks. And I think that's a little bit interesting for me because, why are you using another player when you know that in 2 weeks, or not even that, you've got a massive LAN, a 10k prize pool, one of the biggest prize pools in the history of Oceanic esports in terms of Counter-Strike, and you're using a player that you're not even going to be playing with at the LAN. Sure, if you want to replace Mungo or not, you don't want to use Mungo after the LAN, then, that's fine. You can pick Moe up after the LAN, but certainly at least use Mungo for until you've finished out the LAN. But regardless, it's not my place to, I guess, dictate what these teams do, obviously. That's a Chiefs decision, but it just didn't really make a lot of sense to me in the grand scheme of things. So, anyway, that's the lineup. They've been in really bad form. They've lost a couple of matches to teams that they should have absolutely been decimating, Dexter or no. I think the caliber of players that they still have left are fantastic. And, even though I've been kind of counting them out a little bit, it wouldn't be surprising at all to see this lineup come into the LAN and just do wonders again. Because, the likes of Destiny and Chriso can never be counted out. Nikez is in good form, reasonably good form. Burn, I think, has been a little bit quiet of late, but again, he's a pretty consistent player as well. So the real question mark, I guess, around this lineup is going to be Mungo. For me, Destiny and Chriso are going to need to be the players to step up on this LAN. We have always, spoken about Destiny and how powerful of a player he is. You can never count him out. And on the other hand, Chriso, just such a consistent LAN performer, such an experienced player as well. And, he's really a very strong player for this lineup as well. So those two players, Destiny and Chriso, are going to be the ones to watch if you, I guess, interested in watching those guys play out their games. But it should be interesting. Anyway, we'll move on a little bit to, I guess, the first couple of matches for this event. We only know, actually, the first two matches because of the way the bracket works. It's double elim, so the results of this bracket, or these matches, are going to directly impact who plays who in the remaining bracket. So can't really speculate too much into the whole tournament, but at least these first two matches we can discuss a little bit. So the first one that's going to come up is actually going to be Parallax and Athletico, and unfortunately that's not going to be streamed because we just don't have the resources. We have other games going on at the studio at the time, but it's still going to be going on, and I still kind of want to speculate on how it's going to play out. So I've just brought up my opinion on how the vetoes are going to turn out between these two teams. They're fairly similar in terms of who picks what, regardless of who's getting the first pick and ban, but I'll just run through it anyway. Parallax, in my opinion, if they ban first, they're just going to get rid of Dust 2 because they don't want to play that map at all. They've been banning it all season, and they're just avoiding it completely. So it wouldn't definitely not surprise me to see Parallax getting rid of Dust 2 straight away. Athletico, on the other hand, Cobblestone's their go-to ban, so again, not going to be surprising to see them get rid of that one. And then we'll see Parallax. Interestingly enough, this might surprise some people, maybe, because Parallax have actually been picking Train quite a lot. But I think if they're smart, they'll recognise that Cache has probably been their best map of late. They've got 4 wins out of 4 in the last month on Cache. And despite it being one of Athletico's good maps, I think it's actually a better map here for Parallax. So I'm going to pick them to actually choose that map and win that one as well, reasonably comfortably. So 16-10, something like that. Next map is Athletico picking up Mirage. That's probably their best map of late. I know they've been picking Cache a lot. Obviously, they can't pick Cache in this situation, but I wouldn't even be picking Cache anyway as Athletico. Every other map for them has been better than Cache, despite the fact that they've been picking Cache. So I guess take of that what you will. Whether Athletico is going to be, or whether Athletico is going to recognize that, or if they have a different opinion on that than me, then I guess that is going to decide how their videos are going to go. But I think they should pick Cache. I think that'll be a pretty good map, actually, for Parallax as well, but certainly a very good map there for Athletico. I would think that that's their best map at the moment, and that'll be a close win, but it will go to Athletico. Then Parallax is going to get rid of Nuke. No one wants to play Nuke, and they're not going to be too keen to let it through to perhaps that remaining map, so they're going to get rid of that one. Athletico will take out Train, which has been Parallax's sort of second best map, their go-to pick usually. So kind of a no-brainer there for Athletico to take that one out, and then the remaining map is going to be Overpass, which both teams have actually played lately. Atletico has the better results on it, though, previously in the past month, and in my opinion, should be able to pick that one up reasonably comfortably, something like 16-10. So that situation goes 2-1 in the favour of Atletico, which is probably not a surprising prediction to many people. Maybe people were even surprised that I give Parallax a map in this situation, but regardless, heading on to the second situation where Athletico are the ones to ban first, I think they'll get rid of Cobblestone, Parallax get rid of Dust 2, exactly the same as the first situation. But in this case, I believe Athletico probably are actually going to pick Cache, because they have been picking it so much. It's been their go-to map. You know, I think they'll actually pick it. In reality, in my opinion, they probably shouldn't. They should pick something else, but I think they'll pick Cache. In response to that, Parallax are going to be able to actually pick up Train, and I think this probably favours Parallax a little bit more than the first situation. However, I still think it's going to favour Athletico. So, you know, as with the first situation, I'm going to actually back Parallax to pick up Cache. Having said that, though, I think Athletico will be able to pick up Train. And Parallax and Athletico, interestingly enough, did play each other in CG, and I'm fairly certain they played Train, and Athletico was able to win that one. But I think that'll be close. It's a good map there for Parallax. It's a good map for Athletico. So it'll be close, but I favour Athletico on that one. Then obviously we'll see Athletico get rid of Nuke. They don't want to play it at all, don't want to let it get through the remainder, so they get rid of it. Then Parallax is able to actually get rid of Overpass and get themselves on a map that is better for them, which would be Mirage. Still think that's going to favour Athletico, but it'll be a close win. So this will be a little bit closer of a fought situation for these two teams if Athletico gets to ban first. But regardless, it's going to be a 2-1 in Atletico's favour. So heading over to the second game, this one is actually going to be broadcast, and I believe it's going to start sometime around 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock, depending on how the rest of the day is going with the other games that we've got going on, and how the studio is set up. But it'll be in the afternoon sometime, and that's going to be Chiefs and Athletico. I don't know if I mentioned that already. PDG and I will be casting that. Mike's not going to be here until Sunday, and then obviously you'll have the other guys on the analyst desk. So in this situation, I think if XL5 bans first, actually I should probably bring this up before I forget. If XL5 gets the ban first, they're going to get rid of Train, and this is what I was kind of talking about previously in their little team preview. They have just been getting rid of Train all season. They've also been getting rid of Nuke, and actually, if you've been following things closely, they've been getting rid of Nuke first and then Train second. However, I think if they're smart, they'll get rid of Train in this situation because no one actually wants to play Nuke. None of these teams have picked Nuke, and they've all been banning Nuke. So if XL5 is smart here, they just pretty much ignore Nuke. They can probably safely assume that no one's going to pick it. Get rid of Train, which is a strong map here for the Chiefs, one that they've been picking lately, and take that out of the map pool. Chiefs in response going to ban Dust 2, which is, interestingly enough, XL5's best map, but Chiefs have also been banning it quite a lot, so that kind of works out well for the Chiefs anyway. In response, XL5 picks up Cobble, which is one of their good maps, probably their strongest aside from Dust 2, I would suspect. And then Chiefs are going to grab Mirage, which is okay map for XL5, but I don't think they're actually that great at it. They don't have very good results lately on it. And certainly Chiefs have got much better results on it. I think they've got a 100% win rate within the last couple of months. So anyway, that's a good map for Chiefs. In my opinion, going to convincingly go in the favour of Chiefs. Exile 5 probably should win a close match on Cobble. But anyway, it'll be a 1-1 at that situation. Exile 5 gets rid of Nuke, as they don't want to play it at all. They don't want to let it get through to the remainder. Chiefs will get rid of Cache, which is an okay map for Exile 5 and an okay map for Chiefs, but they'll be more confident on Overpass, so they'll let Overpass come through as the remainder, and I believe Chiefs, that's their map pretty safely in this matchup. So it'll be a 2-1 in favour of Chiefs in that situation. Reasonably convincing, not really much of a stomp so much as just a regular run-of-the-mill victory for the Chiefs. In the other situation where Chiefs ban first, they will get rid of Dust 2. Exile 5 get rid of Train, so no difference to the previous veto. And then Chiefs, as a response, will pick Mirage, their best map. Pretty convincing win in their favour. Exile 5 will pick Cobble, again, close win in their favour, maybe. And then as a result, Chiefs this time going to get rid of Nuke because they don't want to perhaps let it get through to the remainder. Exile 5 now are able to remove Overpass, and the final map is going to be Cache, which is a little bit better of a map there for Exile 5. But I still give that to the Chiefs in a close victory. I know Exile 5 has played Chiefs online lately, and they won 2-1. However, I still think Chiefs probably coming into this one are going to be able to step up for the LAN and take it to Exile 5 here. But I do know that there's been some disagreeing opinions with me on that one. So this, I think, is going to be a really interesting matchup between these two teams. Regardless, that's how I think it's going to play out. I'd be very interested to actually see how everyone else thinks it's going to play out. So either leave a comment in YouTube or on CG where I post the thread, or send me a message on Twitter. I would be very interested to see how people think these two matches are going to go and how they think the vetoes are going to go as well. Yeah, that pretty much wraps up the video here for me. My Twitter's @ElfishGuy if you want to follow me there. That would be very much appreciated. You can subscribe on YouTube as well. That would be great. If you're coming to the event, please say hello and have a chat with me. If you like this content, let me know as well. I did put quite a lot of effort into putting these notes together for this event, so hopefully I guess that's maybe showing. I know my CS knowledge in the grand scheme of things is still lacking, but I'm definitely working on it. I hope that you guys have been able to pick up on that. Overall, I guess I better quickly give my predictions for the whole event. I think it's probably quite evident from how I've been speaking about the teams throughout this video. Athletico to take it out over Parallax in the final. Parallax coming second. I believe Chiefs will be third. Exile 5 will be fourth. So that's just my opinion. Again, give us your opinion. See how you think about it. But yeah, anyway, that's going to wrap the video up. I hope to see you guys there. If not, I hope to see you guys on the stream, and hope you enjoyed the video. So thanks for tuning in, and enjoy the ANZ Championship.